Hi, welcome to the Catholic Corner. I'm Monsignor Walter Nolan. My guests today are going to share with us about the recent developments in the Diocese of Kasana-Lawero in Uganda, Africa. The Diocese of Kasana-Lawero and the Diocese of Trenton, our diocese, are partners in the Catholic Relief Services Global Solidarity Partnership Program. The Global Solidarity Partnership Program is meant to promote the universal church and provide much-needed assistance to the poor in developing countries such as Uganda. A few years back, I went to Uganda with our own bishop, Bishop Smith, and some others, and we actually signed an agreement that time with the Diocese of Kasana-Lawero and the Diocese of Trenton. And I must tell you that it was one of the most remarkable experiences of my priesthood. It was a beautiful experience of wonderful people, and to see how we can share whatever our gifts are and their gifts, and somehow we call it a partnership, but I always like to think of it as a covenant, the same kind of covenant that God has with us, we try to have with each other. So we'd like to share a little bit about that story and how the story has expanded, about the many good things which have come from this partnership between the two dioceses. And we'll also hear about some of the great needs that still exist and will exist for some time because of the needs of the folks there and lack of resources and many other things. Mary Goss, Mary bless you, honey, for always being so kind. Mary is the Director of Catholic Relief Services for the Diocese of Trenton. She's also witnessed the extreme need on her many, many visits to Uganda. And a very beautiful sister, and I'd say a dear friend from the time I spent my little time there. Sister Ernestine Akulu is visiting us now from the Diocese of Kasana-Lawero, and she is the administrator of the Asili Hospital in Lawera, Uganda. Welcome, sister. Welcome, Mary. Gosh, it's so nice to have you both. Mary, I know now for a while you've headed up this partnership here in our own diocese and with Kasana-Lawero. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about what it's like to keep this partnership going, and especially what the clinic is like when you first visited Uganda.
The partnership is just absolutely flourishing. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful thing, and wonderful covenant, like you said, Monsignor. When I first went to Uganda in 2003, it wasn't the Asili Hospital. It was the Bishop Asili Clinic. And actually
I remember the clinic. It was a very small clinic.
Small clinic. There were actually 5 beds there. And now it's a hospital, and there are 66 beds there. There were no doctors at all, and now there are 2 doctors there helping people and saving lives. It has really grown under the administration of Sister Ernestine, who founded this clinic. And with the partnership, we've journeyed together, side by side, over the years, and it's a very important part of our partnership. When the partnership was first started, the focus was on HIV/AIDS, which it still is, but it has branched out because there are so many orphans and children that have no parents. So we've branched out, and we have different kinds of projects. We have water projects. We provide transportation for some of the newly ordained priests so they can get out into the bush to see the people. We have microfinancing with women. This year, for the first time, we have a project with Father John of boats in a village, lakeside village, that they have fishing boats that they're going to rent out. And there's a committee in the village that when there is some income from it, they're going to decide what to do with it and how to spend this income. So it's really, really, really has changed, and many wonderful things have been happening. Also children. Many children couldn't go to school, and that's all the children want, is to be able to attend school. They don't want Ugg boots or Nintendo or Wii games. What they do is they want to go to school. That's really important. And I think the children are the future of Uganda. I really do.
I remember when I was there, and Sister can help me with this, seeing some of the schools at the time with no desks and the children sitting on the floor, and their desk was really the back of the child in front of them. Mm-hmm.
The partnership has, since that time, we've actually built 2 school buildings St. Therese and Nidi Balungi, where the children were, they were actually under the trees. They didn't even have a school building. So now we have 2 buildings, which is really awesome. And we're helping in St. Therese this year because they have to expand. We also did, in Majira, we did a building, a school building, that is just ready to have the roof put on, and the children are there. And it's interesting because sometimes the school building is so small that one class will face one way and the other class will face the other way. But you're right, Monsignor, it's really hard to learn to write when you're sitting on a dirt floor and leaning over. It's really difficult. So we've done desk and supplied desk and everything for the children.
Just terrific. Sister Ernestine, now, if my memory is correct, you were part of that small little clinic at the time when I was there. And tell us a little story about how you got involved in the clinic and how you as a religious sister dedicated your life to the health of the people.
Yes, well, thank you, Monsignor. I came to Luero in 1992 when, after the civil war in the area and people were coming back, resettling, and my congregation was asked to come and provide health services for the resettling population of the area. And we were asked to put up a clinic. This clinic was providing medication but also distributing foodstuffs, providing food for those who didn't have food and for the HIV patients. And I was involved in this clinic from the very beginning in its construction, soliciting funds for constructing it. And when Luero was made a diocese, because by the time we came, the diocese was non-existent, not even a parish in that place. The parish was made after we had, settled there, and then a few years later it was declared a diocese, and that is when the bishop was installed and came there. Now, when the bishop was installed, I was asked to coordinate 11 other clinics in the 3 districts under the diocese. So I was overseeing this very clinic, but also 11 other clinics. By the time you came, I was still the coordinator of 12 health clinics in the rural districts of Nakasongora, Nakaseke, and Luero. But in 2008, in January, this clinic, Asili Clinic, was growing, and it needed some concentration and a lot of work, because all these other clinics were referring patients there, and it was like overloaded. So it was growing into a small hospital, and I moved into this. I came back and settled into Asili Clinic, and this is what I've been doing in these last 3 years. I've been trying to bring it to a hospital level, and I have seen it grow, and I am very much involved there because it is now the center for everybody.
I'm thinking back at the time. Now, I don't know if it was in Kasana Luero or in Kampala, but I remember there was, maybe it was a bigger clinic or something, and someone said to me that, the difference there, say to the States, was that here in the States someone would go there because they were sick and they hoped to get well. Yeah. And they said that back then they really just went there to get ready to die because they didn't have a whole lot of medicine and they didn't have a whole lot of, now you said there were 2 doctors and everything. Yeah. So God bless you how the work has expanded and God's grace has grown. When
we first went there also, there were no antiretrovirals, there were no testing, so there was a tremendous amount of death.
Yeah. Actually, the whole growth of the clinic into a hospital was due to the demands, of the people, because as Mary is saying, and as you remember yourself when you came, there were 5 beds, and we didn't have a doctor. Our laboratory was so small, maybe with 1 microscope, But now, through the help, through the partnership, we have got a very good laboratory, and I think from the north to Kampala, there is no laboratory like we have. We have 2 doctors in place. We used to receive mothers, pregnant mothers in difficult situations of delivery, and we couldn't help them. They would need the cesarean section. We would send them to go somewhere else, and we didn't have even ambulance to carry them. So they would be taken on motorbike or on bicycles on dust road with potholes in severe pain, and a lot of them would even get accident on the way. But now we have doctors. When these people come, they can operate on them immediately. Yeah, we used to lack a lot of things. We could send people away. Children who would need blood because of anemia, because of malaria, we were sending them away. But now we have blood. We have a refrigerator with blood. We have a good laboratory which can screen people, and then we can transfuse them. By the time you came, you remember, we took you to different outposts.
Right.
When you were seeing a lot of patients of HIV. But by then we were just testing and giving them, treating opportunistic infections. But 3 years ago, we were able to get a CD4 count machine to monitor the level of their immunity and to enroll them into antiretroviral treatment and HIV care. And so these patients are now receiving, antiretroviral drugs and improving, becoming better. And I want to say that we can see the results, when they come, they're almost dying, but because they are given treatment, they are able to improve. They now start to do some activities to survive, to maintain themselves, because they need, proper nutrition in order for the metabolism of these antiretroviral drugs. They need also income-generating activities for paying school fees for their children. They need money to pay for their medication. And so we are trying to develop new ways of sustaining our activities and also of sustaining the hospital. So the hospital is really, it has grown. It is a hospital. It's no longer a clinic. There are now 66 beds. We have ambulance, so we can pick women from the village. We can carry them if we cannot handle and take them somewhere else for better management. But the doctors are there, and they are two very, very wonderful doctors, 2 doctors who are ready to dedicate themselves in the village, because most of our doctors prefer to work in cities or to go out of the country. But we have 2 wonderful doctors who are so dedicated to help the village people.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Mary, from the time you got there, what were your expectations and how has it changed?
After, as Sister said, after we were testing people, and people were being tested, I thought, well, this trip is going to be really wonderful because these women are living now. I won't see as much death. This is going to be a really good thing. And I was really surprised. God had a surprise for me. They were living, but they had no way of sustaining themselves, no way of, feeding themselves, sending their children to school. And it's really wonderful because the sisters in the clinic or the clinic team looked at this, and what they do is they gather the women together. And the women make these beautiful beads. Actually, they make them out of rolled paper and glue. And
Out of paper?
Paper. These are all made of paper. And they make beads and necklaces and crafts. They also are making beautiful pocketbooks out of traditional African materials. And of course, with lack of electricity, how did they do it? They have treadle sewing machines that they sit and they do. So they didn't want a handout. They just wanted a hand up. They wanted a market. So what we do is we bring these home and we pay the women first. so that they can therefore send their children to school. They can do all these wonderful things. And then the money that we make when we sell them goes back to the clinic. And Sister uses it for various things as the need be.
So then you really have almost two businesses going. I mean, one is to help the women there in their business, and then whatever profit
Yes, goes
you
right
make
back.
goes back to Sister.
Yeah.
Right back to the
Marvelous.
clinic.
Yeah, there are a lot of, no, we thought it was important to involve the people. As they recover, we involve them. The very, very peasants go back to the villages to create awareness about HIV. And in that way, they bring out more people to test so that they know their status and they get enrolled into care. But then we bring them together to work together. And in this way, it is not only to try to get income, but being together is very important because they help each other, they share their problems, they advise each other how to go about these problems. And they are doing very well because they have decided to, every time like they sell these beads, each one put an amount of money. They have created like a safe, and they keep the money there. And when someone of them is very sick, this money is used to take care of this person, to pay for the medication, and to pay for the food for this patient. So it keeps them together also like a family. And I think for us, this is a great apostolate as religious nuns. This is our way, of promoting, health, of carrying out and continuing the healing ministry of Christ. You don't heal only physically. I think you have to reach people further than that, holistically, even in spirit and also socially and economically. This is what we are trying to do. And these people are using this to raise money. As Mary said, we buy the beads, but when we buy the beads, these women are able to do other activities. Maybe they can start small businesses. Some have gone up to the extent of starting to rear chickens using the money, the produce they got from here, and to rear pigs, and so that they get more and more money to support themselves, to support their children to go to school, to feed themselves, to pay for their medication. And for us, every year Mary comes, she brings back these beads. She brings back the pocketbooks, and then she sells there, and the money is sent directly back to the clinic, and we buy medication, we pay the staff also, we buy food for patients, and we do many, many things. And this for us is very, very important. We cannot expect to be receiving. We have to get involved and do it ourselves. And I think this is the best way.
And you also give out of your hearts and the prayers that you share with in that partnership, which is so wonderful. Yeah. Mary, I have to think though. I don't know how much you bring back or how big a suitcase is or what you have. But do the people at the airports like ever say, "Excuse me, ma'am, but what
do you have in those suitcases, and how much do they weigh? And how much extra?" It's interesting. The two girls that went with me this year on the trip, they were so moved that they put all their belongings in their carry-on. So they each brought home 2 suitcases, and I brought home 3 suitcases. And when Sister Ernestine came, she brought 1 suitcase. So we have a lot of things. But it's nice to see the growth in the partnership as we walk together as brothers and sisters. Sure. One of the girls who came with me this year, years ago when she was in high school, she heard a talk that I did at the Diocesan Youth Conference, and what she wanted to do was, when she went, she was interested in sponsoring a child, and I got a call saying, send the information, and what she did was she went home and got her whole youth group involved, spoke to her pastor, spoke to at every Mass, and they wanted me to come, and they had raised this money, what to do with it. So I connected them with a parish sorority boy, so that youth group to youth group, and they sent soccer balls. They also gave some of the money to the clinic. But there was a girl named Anna that Sister had told me about. So what they had done was they decided to support Anna. So this year, Mary finished her first year in college here, and she went to Africa and met Anna. And when those two young girls met each other, the joy, the hugs, the happiness, it was wonderful. It really was.
That's what partnership is, and that's what the world needs much, much, much more of.
And these are the things we're starting to see in the partnership. With so many children that are sponsored, now the parents over here are saying, you know, I watched this child, and now looks like he's as big as me, and now he's going into secondary school. So it's really a great thing.
And probably in the future, with technology of computers and Scope or whatever, Skype or whatever they call all that thing, you know, you can actually see people. And
Yes.
Sister, I'm always fond of hospital and work. What do you find the biggest challenge for yourself as an administrator of a hospital in Africa? I mean, I can see what our challenges are here in the United States. What is your biggest challenge as an administrator?
I think the biggest challenge for me personally, the lack of resources.
Yeah.
You know, the staff lack of human resource, because you know, most of our hospitals are situated in cities, and many young people like to work in cities. They don't like to work in the village. And in a rural setting like where we are, it is very hard to get staff and retain the personnel there. So this is one of the biggest resources. And the other resources, of course, the lack of infrastructure in place, and then the lack of supplies, which must be there continuously, because patients are coming in continuation, and the number is increasing continually, because people realize here is a facility where we can go and find everything. They expect to find everything. In the rural area, people do not expect, and I think generally, patients do not expect to be referred away from their area, because it is, first of all, it is very costly. Secondly, when you are going out to a different place where you know nobody, you feel insecure. So people prefer to be treated where they are. So when they come, they expect to get everything there. So when they are referred, it's really not good for them. It has a lot of hidden costs for patients. So my biggest challenge is lack of resources, you know.
And we should have lots of folks supporting your programs as best we possibly can.
You know, it must be so disheartening. I've often thought for Sister, when she knows she has the medical training, she knows exactly what to do, and doesn't have the resources. That little child who has a terrible fever and he's dehydrated from malaria comes to the clinic, and Sister has to give him some fluid. And she always says if she doesn't have that $1 to buy the fluid, then the child will die. So it's so important, and even $1 means an awful lot.
Now, Sister, I remember when I was there, you told me that malaria was still a big problem. Is it still as large as it?
Yeah, malaria is still the first killer in Uganda.
Because people think AIDS, but
Yes, no.
malaria is.
Yes, AIDS is the second, but malaria is there, you know, and affects all age groups. Because with the AIDS, yes, we have children affected, but maybe not as much as adults, because children are not sexually active. But with malaria, anybody, anytime, you know, is getting malaria. So malaria is still the biggest killer.
Still the biggest.
Yes, yeah.
Now, what would you say as your challenges? What are your greatest needs? I mean, how can we help here and the folks who share our program or parishes? What is your greatest, most pressing need? Is it water, clean water, school, education, medical supplies? All of the above.
Yeah. Yes, my pressing needs now are still the supplies and equipment. Yes, but also I need to train more health staff, because when we train, at least they feel they are attached to us and they continue to serve with us. So supporting health supplies, supporting equipment, supporting the infrastructure, and supporting training is very, very important for us.
Now, which is better to, or maybe it's half and half? I mean, can supplies be sent over, or is it better if
I think
money is
it's better
and you
it's
buy it
money,
yourself?
yes.
It's better to send money and we buy ourselves, because it is very, very costly. And our country has got a policy that if you are to send, say, like medication, if you have to ship medication from here, must have at least 1.5 year lifetime ahead. You know, so that by the time it is shipped and it reached there, it is not expiring very fast. So that makes it very difficult. And then the clearance there is also very hard. And on the other hand, also from here, to find somebody, you know, a shipping agency is very hard. It is difficult. So it is cheaper to send money and to buy from there.
And you know, it's less expensive to buy from there. Parish in Toms River, St. Luke's collected money for drugs, and it was enough, Sister said, for a whole month. So you'd be surprised what a little bit of money will do over in Uganda. It really is. So we've helped with that. We've helped supply that. We also supplied solar, because it's very hard in a hospital to do surgery or to be operating or delivering babies if you have no power. So with the solar, it's a wonderful thing, God's gift, and it's a good thing. We've done things like that also for the clinic.
Now tell me, how can people find out a little bit more? I know you have some wonderful items here that you are selling, that the women make or people make over there. How can people find out a little bit more about what's going on, and how can they participate in a very quick time here?
Sure. What they can do is they can email us at crstrentonNJ@AOL. They can always give me a call.
We can contact yourself and you
contact me,
contact
yes.
Sister, and we share our
Yes.
prayers together, which is the most important
Sure.
thing. God bless you. Please, please, wonderful, beautiful people from Uganda and from here, our partnership. Stay with us and let our partnership grow. Sister, God, so nice to see you, Mary.